this text. So y'all know we've been talking a lot. We've been talking a lot about what I would call the Afrostocracy, right? The Afrostocracy is this expression of Black elites who are your pastors, your politicians, your pundits, your preachers, and your professors, who their main job is to gatekeep for the lefticals, right? The liberal left, to gatekeep and to ensure that the narrative of the left and the narrative of the Democratic Party continues to be propagated in the world, because we can't have too many of you Negroes functioning in your freedom. Now, while I recognize my audience is not just primarily Black people, everybody is welcome over here. My brothers and sisters, the white ones, the Indian ones, the Asian ones, the Hispanics, we're all welcome here. But I want to peep game. I want to introduce you to, if you've never heard me use that term before, the Afrostocracy. I'll repeat it again. It's the 5 Ps. It's the preacher, the professor, the pundit, the performer, and the politician. And these are melanated individuals who hold elite positions of power, who are always wanting to remind you and to tell you about this white supremacist system, you know, like that system that they navigate in just fine and have managed to build a life of wealth and prosperity for themselves, all the while selling you victimhood. You know, you got people like Joy Reid and what's the boy name? The basketball, LeBron James. Y'all can tell I am not a sports fan. I couldn't think of that man's name to save my life. But people like LeBron James and Charles Barkley and even Stephen A. Smith, these people who they want to be so in tune with the people and down for the culture, but, you know, power to the people. But they're always selling you this victim narrative. But it's amazing how the narrative of victimization and white supremacy has yet to affect them, because they have no problem rising up to the ranks of success and experiencing American capitalism. But they want you to vote for your own demise and to support socialism and the transgendering of children and the effeminization of our men. So I bring all of that up because a couple of days ago, my friend, Mr. Ellison, did an interview, I don't even think it's been out yet, with Ben Shapiro, and had a phone conversation with Patrick Bet-David. And then sends me this text because Roland Martin, who I affectionately call Rolanda, Roland Martin, he's been in a little pickle lately, has he not? I don't know if you guys have noticed. I don't cover him an awful lot because she's just an easy target. But Roland has been in the news lately. The most recent occurrence of him being in the news was because he inadvertently showed some male nudity on his channel while he was doing a screen share. And he just got ripped to shreds on X for doing so. And Angela Stanton King, who is actually here in my hometown, who's done some work with the Trump campaign and runs her own organization, she had put up a post. So I'm not going to show you that, you know, with the man's booty cheeks out. That's just nasty. But I thought Angela said something very, very profound in how most of the males that she knows that are die-hard supporters for the DNC, not all, but she said is a huge, particularly ones at the top that are supporting this agenda, happen to, whether overtly or covertly, have some sort of connection or affinity to the sodomite community. That would be the LGBT community. And so I thought it was funny that when Roland is doing the screen share, that the man's booty cheeks was just up in, you know, he gave some little excuse that didn't really make sense contextually as to why that would be a thing, but Twitter just ripped him up. Well, before Roland did that, Roland messed up. Roland messed up because he tried to come for my people. And if you know anything about me, I am a loyalist to a fault. And, you know, once you are in my circle and I give you the label that you're my people, when people come for my people, I got to cut you. So Roland, this is going to be for you. Roland, you guys, I don't know what possessed him to do this. Roland put up this tweet. Roland Martin shared Vince Everett Ellison's trailer for Will You Go to Hell for Me, the documentary that I'm kind of attached to now and that I've been promoting. Amazing film, by the way. Vince shares this tweet, and it says, "Are you willing to go to hell for the Democratic Party? Check out what Tucker Carlson called the most powerful trailer he has ever seen." Now, if you notice here, this date right here, this date is from February. So in order for Roland to share this tweet, he had to go digging through the crates, okay? Roland goes digging through the crates. We're in August now. Oh, shoot, we're September now. But this is late August when this happened. He went digging all the way through the crates to a post dated February the 6th, shares the documentary's trailer, and then adds this commentary right here, which I am about to read for you. He goes, "If you are a black pastor quoting white supremacist Tucker Carlson, you are an enemy to black people." Then he does the unthinkable. Y'all, I don't know what this Negro was thinking. They didn't tell him, y'all. They didn't tell him. He didn't get the memo. He chose violence this day. Then he goes, "That's you, Vince Ellison." And so y'all know I'm new on X. I'm not on there like that. So I get this. This is a screenshot. Vince sends this to me. And he's like, "Oh, so Roland's trying to come for me." And I was like, well, this is interesting because I noticed the date on the tweet. The date on this tweet is February the 6th. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it's obvious you've struck a nerve. Roland, Vince is not a pastor. I know he look casket sharp like he could be, but he's not. He's an author, a political commentator. You can kind of, if you wanted to, put him in the realm of activist, but he's not a pastor. But Roland chose violence this day by coming for my friend Vince Ellison. And so I saw the tweet and I was like, oh, okay, so this is what we doing. So then, and I'm telling y'all this story. I'm going somewhere. I promise you I am. So after that, Vince claps back. Y'all, this Twitter beef is hilarious to me. And I'm going to tell you why it's hilarious after I read the clap back. So Vince replies to him and Tucker, because Roland called Tucker a white supremacist. So you know how these Afro-stitians have to do. These godless goons and disciples of darkness, they think that if they shame you for speaking your mind and saying what you want to say, if they can associate you with white supremacy, they think those terms scare us. Like we just gonna go running because we're afraid. And so in the previous tweet, obviously he had to lump Vince in and imply that Tucker is a white supremacist. Now, I don't know Tucker personally. Maybe, Lord willing, one day I will meet him. But we're going to treat Tucker like he's my people too, just by association. I was very offended by that because I'm like, now, if you actually watch Tucker's content and you're trying to not be disingenuous, you're not going to walk away and think that Tucker is a white supremacist. But I understand they have to label Tucker that way because if you are white and you are a heterosexual male, you're the enemy to their godless agenda. And so they have to label you, and they think if I label you, that is going to disarm you and take away your power. Don't fall for that. I don't believe, obviously, for 1 minute that at this point it bothers Tucker being called a white supremacist, but I'm just educating you, my audience, to let you know this is why they label you and want to call you names, because they think if we can shame, if there's some shame associated with what you do and who you're connected to, that's going to silence you and muffle your voice and get you to run away and say, whoa, they didn't call me a white supremacist. What I was gonna do? I don't want people to think I'm a racist. And I've told y'all plenty of times, I eat racist for breakfast. Like racists I don't think wake up thinking about white supremacists. And even if there is an evil white racist that lives to me next door, as long as he don't bother me, I don't care what you think about me, because I don't live my life for the applause of invisible friends, right? I just don't. If you know who you are in Christ, dear friends, even if you're one of my white brethren and you're watching and Shanika done called you a racist, she don't know you, but just like Pastor Cooper was saying, if you criticize a quote unquote person of color, they have to impugn your character and imply that the reason for the criticism is not legitimate. But the criticism is just because you are black and because your race, that person is racist. And that's just not true. It is a very juvenile level of argumentation, but they do it and they get away with it. So then Vince claps back, tweets back to Roland Martin and Tucker and says, will you support a party that believes in 9-month abortion, disarming black men, the castration of little boys, the sexual grooming of children? You are an anti-Christian, beta male bigot, Roland Martin. I was like, that's how it's done. I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. He putting him in his place. Notice the date on this tweet. This tweet was sent August 31st. So it's just a couple of days ago. And then Vince replies and says, for your information, punk, white supremacy, he has such a way with words, does not exist to me because there's no white man superior to me, but there are many superior to you. And so I bring up this beef because I want to expose this is laughable that Roland tries to come with this bravado, like he's all big and bad with his little keyboard thuggery on Twitter. But it's funny how he goes digging for this tweet from February to share. But what he did not tell y'all, this is what he did not tell y'all. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, don't tell me I didn't pull it up. I didn't bring it. Hold on. I got to pull it up. I thought I had it all queued up, but I did not. 1, 2, 3. Let me refresh my screen because I swore that I uploaded this. So let's see. This is the irony. These are the cowards of the culture. This is all a facade, y'all. This is an act. And I'm going to share why. Okay? So let me drag this in here. Let me download that. So remember when I started talking, I told you guys, you know, Roland's out here keyboard thugging it, thinking he big and bad, thinking if I shame this pastor who's not a pastor, that he'll just ride off into the sunset in obscurity. Because remember, it's too many of y'all Negroes functioning in your freedom, leaving the plantation. They're losing control of the narrative. And when they lose control of the narrative, that impacts them because it impacts their pockets. Because their job is to be to run past interference for the Democrat Party. And if the numbers bear out to be true, that overwhelmingly they're like 30% of the black community that is not in support of Kamala Harris, that is bad news for Democrats. And that means the people that they're paying to be on the forefront, the Afrostocracy, the pundits, the professors, the preachers, the politicians, and the performers, that means that they are slipping on their job. So now they got to go into overtime. And they go into overtime and they pull little stunts like this. But what they don't tell you is that they are cowards at the core. Now, let me show you what I mean by cowards at the core. Let me pull this up. Let me pull this in. So Vince sends me this. Told you, him and Patrick Bet-David. Shout out to the Valuetainment channel. They're doing amazing work over there. I'm actually a fan of Patrick Bet-David. I think his platform is growing by leaps and bounds, and he does a very good job of just practically discussing these issues. And I followed him well before he started talking about politics, when he was just talking about finance and entrepreneurship and things like that. But so Patrick and Vince are having this telephone conversation, and then afterwards they wrap up the conversation, and Vince goes, "Hey Patrick," and I have permission to share this, you guys. I'm not violating anybody's privacy. I was given this information for the sole purpose of sharing it with my audience if I chose to. So thank you, Vince, for sending me the screenshot. So that screenshot goes, "Hi Patrick, Vince Ellison here. This short from my show received over 1 million views in 5 days. Check it out." Patrick responds and says, "Love it. FYI. Roland has been reached out to. I'll keep you posted." Let me give you the context to this. Before this tweet, this exchange, Patrick Bet-David said, "I would really like to see a debate between you, Vince, and Roland Martin or Van Jones or Charlemagne the God," right? He said, "You know what? Let me see if I can set that up." And y'all know Vince ain't never scared. So he like, bring it, let's do this, right? So the reason why you see in this text exchange, Patrick is saying, "Oh, by the way, we've reached out to Roland. I'll keep you posted." Vince responds and says, "Please do. I'm eager to see your operation in Florida. I'm sure it's impressive. Whoop-de-whoop, whoop-de-whoop." I am missing a tweet. Where is the other message? Hold on. I think I'm missing 1, 2, 3. No, I got to go back through my phone and find it. But essentially, I thought it was interesting how Roland would go digging. He's digging through the crates to find out who Vince Ellison is, and then decides, I'm gonna publicly put this tweet out, call Tucker a white supremacist, and then impugn his character, Vince's character, by saying he's an enemy to black people. But my question, Rolanda, is if you felt that way, why you ain't respond back to Patrick Bet-David and say, "Yes, absolutely, I'll engage. I'll participate in a debate, since I love debating ideas." Why you ain't responded yet? I mean, it's what, September 4th, ain't nobody heard from you yet. So I'm just trying to figure out, this dog and pony show that you put on Twitter, does it resemble something that happened up in Chicago? Y'all, let me show y'all. This man is a coward. He is out here faking the funk like he's about that life, but he's really not. He's really not, because this is not the first time he's been confronted for running his mouth online, talking crazy and real reckless about people. Let me show y'all this.
I'm gonna go over how this beef started. So for those who don't know, I got you covered. The way that this beef started is, it is Roland Martin's fault. He's the one who started it. Jamal Green was just minding his business, okay? So Roland Martin kind of goes on this little bit of a tirade. He starts kind of, making certain tweets about Jamal Green, calling him names, going after him and stuff. We just got to watch what you say. And so after that, Roland Martin decides to do an entire segment on his show about Jamal Green. And let's just play a little bit of that video so you guys can see what he said.
Matt, here was this fool, Jamal Green. Go to my iPad. This fool tweeted, "Does anybody want to tell me what first generation is code for? LOL. Dumbass is first generation. Pay attention to the cryptic words being used to show us what agenda is their agenda. Yet you literally have black folks acting like the Democrats will prioritize you when you have the lowest home ownership rate in the country at 44%. Like, stop." See, Matt, the reason I can't stand fools like this here, and I think this fool ran for mayor of Chicago or something, I don't know, but he's stupid. Here's why.
He did run for mayor of Chicago, and shout out to him for doing that. Running for mayor of a large city is not an easy thing to do. And I thought that his campaign was, well, I didn't pay too much attention to his campaign. I remember he ran, but I remember he said some things that he wanted to do that I was definitely in favor of. I think it's actually courageous when young people like him run for mayor. It takes so much work, paperwork. You got to get signatures. I just think that's kind of lame to go after somebody and said, oh, this fool ran for mayor. What's wrong with running for mayor? Like, I don't know. He approaches Roland Martin. He's clearly trying to confront him. He does not look aggressive to me. He looks aggressive as if he wants to talk because he has a bone to pick with him. But I can't imagine him taking the swing at Roland Martin in a church. Like, if I was Roland Martin, I would be like, okay, let's talk. Like, I wouldn't really be worried in that environment. There's so many people around. Even if something happened, it's not like you're going to get beat up. People are going to break it up. Like, I wouldn't be as afraid as Roland Martin appeared to be. Now, let's go ahead and analyze the footage again. So I'm going to put it on mute, and we're just going to analyze it. So that's Jamal Green right there coming up to Roland Martin. He's like, 1 second. So he clearly doesn't want to talk to him. And then if you really look at just the body language and the gestures, Roland Martin is clearly, he don't want to be a part of that. He don't want nothing to do with that. A black woman comes and tries to break it up. Jamal Green's clearly just trying to talk. I don't even really see Jamal Green raising his hands because you have people in the comments saying that, oh, Jamal Green was coming up there on some tough stuff trying to fight him. I'm just not really getting that vibe. I'm looking at him. He's got his hands crossed. Look, the guy has his hands crossed. He's not really bringing up his hands at all. He comes up there, his hands are crossed. He just doesn't seem like an actual aggressor to me. I guess it appears like he's getting a little bit aggressive, but he's really not. People are just touching him, so that's why, it kind of looks the way it does. But, yeah, very interesting. And so after that, somebody took a picture of Roland Martin looking afraid, and then Jamal Green posted this picture, and he said, new profile pic, and it's a picture of Roland Martin just looking scared. He's looking at Jamal Green like it's one of those Kia boys trying to take his car. He looking at him like oh my God, like you can't lie. This is pretty funny.
I went ahead and I wanted to share that with you guys because the context matters. The context matters. Here in this clip, Jamal Green minded his business, right? And he didn't do nothing to nobody. And Roland Martin, here he comes trying to shame somebody once again by Jamal. All Jamal was doing was pointing out the obvious. He was pointing out the obvious in that tweet that the illegal alien situation, how it's decimating his city. He's an activist up in Chicago. I read the Twitter post that Jamal Green put up. There was nothing wrong with the post other than the fact that it goes against the DNC narrative. And it points to this reality that the Democrats are absolutely displacing Americans. And it demonstrates that they're actually in favor of illegal aliens, and they're not even hiding it. They're doing it in your face, taking your resources, using your tax dollars, your money, to subsidize and fund people, and just so that they can just waltz all in here, bypassing the normal immigration process in favor of jumping the line, right? So the idea is, well, I'm just gonna Debo my way in, expecting for someone to take care of them. There was nothing absolutely wrong with what Jamal Green said in that tweet, but notice how Rolanda, how he interacted with it, right? He called the tweet stupid. He didn't engage with the ideas or the substance of what was said, but he said the tweet was stupid. Then he pointed out the fact that we should not, Jamal pointed out the fact that we should not be supporting Democrat-sponsored welfareism. But what you have to understand is Roland Martin is part of the Afrostocracy. I refuse to call him a journalist. I'd rather, he's more of a Democrat propagandist, right? His sole job is to run past interference for the Democrat Party. And he is the true definition of a House Negro. Now I know I still got, there you go right there. Listen, the definition of a House Negro, I have had the pleasure of reading a preview copy of Kevin McGarry's book, and it's called Revealed. Kevin McGarry is a gentleman that I've recently been connected with and introduced to. I'm going to have him on the show sometime this month. Kevin, if you're watching, I'm getting my life together. I'm sorry, but you sent me 2 books and a preview copy of the new one, and I can't read that fast. There's a lot going on, but I promise we're going to get you on the show. But in this book, the book is not even out yet. It drops soon. And as soon as it drops, I promise you guys, I will share it with you. But what Kevin goes on to talk about in that book, he takes the archetype of the House Negro and he applies it to individuals, not based on their ethnicity, right? But more so, he describes it as this mindset that you can apply to any person who uses cultural pressure to get people to conform. So somebody like a Roland Martin. So they use this tactic. The tactic by the lefticals is where they try to cancel you, be vitriolic with their rhetoric towards you, and essentially the whole goal, they want to socially annihilate you. They want to do so by their mischaracterization and their words, and they want to use it like it's this form of social voodoo in order to get certain people or people in general to have a certain perception about you. And they do this because you dared to speak the truth. You're one of the ones that got away, or you're one that has always functioned in your freedom. You dared to expose the unfruitful deeds of darkness. You dared to function in your freedom, something that they are too cowardly to do. And so because of that, they have feelings of resentment towards you, and they sit around looking at you just like this. Y'all see that? There's Steven. This is Steven from Django. This is who Roland Martin is. That's Roland right there. Because see, he doesn't have the courage to just be honest with himself. And he darn for sure can't be honest with his audience. So what he has to do is he has to play this role that they've carved out for him. And they're like, we will pay you as long as you just maintain the status quo and keep the black folks from running away. He maintains that status quo. Timber, we're not doing this today, baby. We're not doing this today. They've carved out this place for him where in exchange for his very soul, he has to play along. He has to play along and play this role and act as if the Democrat Party is trying to push to the American people good ideas. And these ideas are not bad. These are good. And people who think like Jamal Green and Vince Everett Ellison and people like myself, we are the enemies of black people. That's the message, the overarching message that he is paid to disseminate into the airwaves. Now, he knows that the policies and the platform of the DNC do nothing to advance the social or financial progress of black Americans, but he's willing to sell out his own people just so he can feel like he's out here doing something meaningful and worthwhile, and he gets paid very well. He sits up there with those faux-looking African ugly dashikis on, trying real hard to please his master. He goes into overtime, all the while looking with envy at the American Negro, who just stands tall and without fear calls out the wickedness of the Democratic Party. And we do so without fear. We are not afraid of you, Roland Martin. We are knowing that to do and say the things that we are saying spells social suicide, but we do it anyway. Because selling out and watching the destruction of our people in this nation is something that we are not willing to do, ever. You can't put a price on this. It's not in our blood. It's just not who we are. You've been able to fool some of us some of the time, but you ain't fooling all of the people all of the time. And so Roland about to get his Negro wake-up moment. But when we examine Jamal Green's tweet, he was absolutely right. Black Americans do have the lowest home ownership rates in this country. He did not lie. But Roland can't stand people like Jamal because he speaks the truth, and Roland is an enemy to the truth. He's a liar just like his father, the devil, and there is zero truth in him. He was a liar from the beginning, and the works of his father he will always do. It is his default position. He can't help it. But Jamal is trying to just point out how the Democrats are prioritizing the illegals Everyone knows that. These people are living it. Their observed reality is pointing to the fact that these people are getting money and getting resources. But Roland doesn't want people to know that. So instead of him engaging on the basis of the merit of what Jamal Green was saying, he just went on the attack because that's what he is paid to do. He's paid to do that. I was talking to a good friend of the channel, Sister Chicken Grease. She messaged me the other day, and I just wanted to read what she said because she summarized what we were dealing with this Roland Martin situation. And she was saying, notice how these drag wolves throw dirt and shade at fellow believers. Notice how they went after Vince Ellison, a man's man. And then the young man who started the school for black boys, that's King Randall. Y'all remember that? Do y'all remember when King Randall was on Roland's show? And Roland could not engage with the argument. So instead, he'd rather to demean that young man, shame him with the most absurd, idiotic argument, just because they can't have you functioning in your freedom. They can't have that. You have to be beholden to the Democrat Party if it is the last thing you do. Voluntarily signing up for your own demise. Also that he can get rich and sit in his ivory tower. But she goes, these closet gay men hate strong men because they expose their inadequacies. Now, I'm not saying Rolanda is a sodomite or a switch hit. I don't know him like that, but I don't know. All my male friends, they don't have pop-ups and screen shares of just men naked with their butt cheeks out. Like that's just not the kind of content that's in their algorithm. The algorithm knows what you like, Roland. If you like it, YouTube, for the most part, will suggest things that it believes that you're interested in. So that's all I'm saying. But I don't know. I mean, he's married allegedly to a woman, but I don't know. I don't know anything about that. But she also went on to say, real men, no excuses, get things done, and they protect women. Roland makes excuses, gets nothing done, and when pressed by Jamal, what did Roland do? He hid behind a woman. Y'all saw Big Mama that he hid behind? He sure did. My girlfriend also said, she goes, masculinity is dangerous to homosexuals, be they open or closeted. Remember the response of the men of Sodom and Gomorrah towards Lot. They resented him for not partaking in their evil deeds. I said, girl, my girl broke that down. Shout out to Chicken Grease if she's in the live chat. She's one of our moderators over here. She's probably at work. But yes, Rolanda was so rude to King Randall. And I still haven't gotten over that. It made me so angry that someone so young, full of purpose, one of the purposeful patriarchs, as young as he is, who's actually doing something and getting results. And here you got, fake dashiki wearing Roland Martin, always got something smart to say because he's accomplishing nothing other than spilling all his effeminate energy over here on the internet that nobody wants to watch and listen to anyway. But I thought it was interesting that instead of engaging with the substance of what Jamal was saying, instead he ran to Twitter to try to shame Jamal. So during the DNC convention, while up in Chicago, which is Jamal Green's city, Jamal pulled up on Roland, right? And I mean, I'm talking like, I ain't never scared. Like, listen, you was talking like you was Froggy, so let's go ahead and jump. Jamal pulls up on Roland. He pulled up on him and confronted him man to man, not aggressive, but like, you called me stupid, you said this, you said that. And what does Rolanda do? Like the chestless man that he is, he hides behind a woman. Now, I don't necessarily have to agree with everything Jamal Green supports. I don't know if we would even share the same worldview, but I can respect him because like a man, he went to confront Rolanda to his face. Nothing Jamal Green said warranted such a vitriolic attack, but this is what they do. when they see Americans, particularly Black Americans, functioning in their freedom. People like Rolanda can't stand to see that. They despise it because they don't have the courage to do it themselves. They wish they could stand on business. Take those shackles off because they hurt. Your wrists are chafed. Your ankles they ashy and they itchy from the shackles on. But they can't because they're paid to keep the free-thinking Negroes in check. They got to be Stephen. They got to do this. So when Vince sent me the screenshot, I said, oh, he must didn't learn his lesson. He didn't think fat meat was greasy. So Roland shares the trailer. Thank you, Roland, by the way, for sharing the trailer. Actually, since you shared it, it's gotten 84,000 views that we're so grateful and appreciative for. And within 24 hours, lots of DVD sales went up. So, hey, we appreciate it. Sales are out of control. Thank you. But the trailer starts getting traction. And then Vince hits Roland with the clapback that I showed you. I'll show it to you guys again. He hits him with the clapback. But I thought it was interesting that he wants to do this on the stage on Twitter, but you can't reply to a text when Patrick Bet-David reaches out to you to arrange a debate between you and Vince Ellison. I don't understand. The whole exchange is funny to me because Roland loves to be a Twitter thug. But we already know how he acts and responds when a man actually rolls up on him and confronts him to his face. The little man runs like a little girl, and then he hides behind somebody's big mama to protect him. But that's what chestless men do. If he was really about that life, he would have stood there and engaged with Jamal to either explain himself, provide clarification, perhaps, apologize after hearing the argument, say he was confused, something, but you stand there like a man and you engage. You engage. But the truth of the matter is he was never interested in engaging with the argument. He never does because he doesn't have one. How can you defend a party that supports abortion up to the 9th month? Black people who you claim to love and idolize all things blackness so much, but you won't talk to your audience about how black people are beyond the rate of replacement in this country because not enough of us are being born. Most of us don't even get to see the light of day beyond the womb. You, sir, are the ones supporting a party that all they care about is womb assassination, especially the killing of black babies, which destroys our progeny. But you want to call somebody a white supremacist? Surely you jest. You cannot be serious. Rolanda Martin. Roland cannot defend or explain why disarming black people is a good thing. Yet at the same time, he believes that black people are being hunted down. Well, I don't know. If we're being hunted down, wouldn't it make sense for us to arm ourselves with guns? Wouldn't you want black people to be able to defend themselves? Are you not aware that it is your duty to protect yourself? And the best way to do that is with a weapon and not relying on the government to protect and take care of you. Now, I know you only care about a black person getting shot when it's shot by a white cop, but we hear crickets from you when Pookie and Ray Ray are terrorizing your people, the ones you claim you love so much in the hood. You have nothing to say of value about the menacing and unruly and thuggish behavior of a certain segment of the black community, but instead, you always try to come for the Negroes, the black Americans who are actually doing something productive, trying to make a difference with measurable, actionable results because you aren't talented enough to do anything other than to sit on YouTube, run your mouth, and then hide like a little girl when a man rolls up on you and steps to you and approaches you to have a conversation about ideas. And so speaking of grown men approaching you, you were approached by a highly respected man. Patrick Bet-David reached out to your people. Don't act like you ain't know. Don't act like you ain't get the message. Patrick reached out to debate ideas of merit and substance with Vince Everett Ellison, and neither you or your people has yet to respond. But yet, several days after that message was sent, you go digging through the Twitter files to a tweet that dates back to February. I don't know. Is it you who dropped the ball? Your people dropped the ball? I don't know. No one has yet to get back to him. But I find it funny that a few days after Patrick reaches out to you, you managed to find the time to post this tweet. This ain't the tweet. This is the tweet. That one right there. That's just amazing to me. I don't know. Maybe it's a coincidence. It's just incredible how that happens. What this tells me, it tells me that you know who Vince Ellison is. And you know exactly how to get in touch with him, yet you resorted to keyboard thuggery. That's what you chose to do instead. Because you know, and I know, that Vince would mop the floor with you and have you over rocking in the corner, holding yourself, crying like somebody stole your bike. You know it and I know it. Why didn't you have the big mama who was protecting you from Jamal Green reply to the invite, Roland? This is not conjecture. These are statements of fact, not opinion. Patrick Bet-David has reached out to Roland Martin requesting a debate between him as well as Van Jones and Charlamagne the God. Surprisingly, the only one so far to respond has actually been Charlamagne. And at least Charlamagne was honest and said he don't want no smoke. Okay, he was like, listen, I don't even like Charlamagne. But at least I can respect the fact that he's like, those ain't the kind of problems I want. I'm good. I'm going to pass. And I would argue even Van Jones, y'all know, oh, he like doing his crying anyway, but at least he kept his mouth shut. Because see, Van already got checked by Vivek Ramaswamy at the DNC for talking reckless about Vivek. And so Vivek confronted Van Jones at the DNC, man to man, eye to eye, not aggressively, not implying any sort of violence, but he said what needed to be said to Van Jones, and Van Jones apologized. But Roland sharing the trailer of Will You Go to Hell for Me? And then calling Vince Ellison an enemy to black people is projection of the worst kind. This is why no one respects you. And this is why black people are waking up, because you can't defend in any way, shape, form, or fashion how Vince could be the enemy of black people, but yet the things that you support, abortion up to the 9th month, you don't even have the ability or the concern to protect our children, the most vulnerable amongst us. You want black people to turn a blind eye to the invasion of their communities by people who have not earned the right to be here lawfully, sopping up their resources, and you just want us to be charitable and act like that's okay. But the only reason why you do that is because you are a shill for the Democrat Party, and they pay you well to stay on code, to promote this destructive, calamitous culture of failure, which has us at the bottom. And we are done tolerating the likes of you. We're done. So now you're out here, everybody making fun of you because you got men's booty cheeks showing up on the internet. And in your sick mind, you think that's normal. Well, that happens all the time, and I'll do it again. We know you will. We know. But y'all, masculine men don't explain away or try to excuse that or minimize that unless that's who they are or that's what they're into. And so I chose to go on this little rant today because I want to demonstrate the fact that it takes a lot of courage and fortitude and tenacity to stand up against these wicked people, because they will try to destroy your name, want to associate you with bigotry and white supremacy. Like that's supposed to make us scared and be quiet. Unlike you, I've been called worse by somebody way better. And I know where my identity is hidden in, and it is not hidden in a party or my ethnicity. And the work that we're doing out here, it is meaningful. And it is changing people's lives. And it's adding value to the marketplace in ways that you could only imagine. And we don't have to take no white person's money to do it. We fund ourselves. We work hard by the sweat of our brows, and we build something meaningful that generations behind us will be proud of. But the last thing we're going to do is sell out our own people for 30 pieces of silver and then run, throw the rock and then run and put our hands behind our backs like a coward. So I don't have any problems with Angela Stanton King dragging your... I'm going to be nice. I think I've said enough. I think I was personally bothered because that film has placed me on a trajectory to give me more of a voice, to make me want to be more outspoken and more vocal, to uncover the unfruitful deeds of darkness and to wake up people who look like me and who don't. To speak to the culture, the American people, regardless of their ethnic expression, to say, you don't need to deal with these intolerant, evil people anymore. You confront them to their face and you call them out on their wickedness. That's what you do. But running from them, like, did you think we were going to be afraid? We've already counted the cost, Roland. We know the reason why you say the things you say, because you're too much of a punk to count the cost. We've counted the cost. The price was steep, but we were willing to pay it because we believe in what we're doing, because we know it is undergirded by truth. And truth is objective and it is knowable. And we are endeavoring to share that message of truth with as many people as we can, regardless of the cost and what it takes, because we know what's required. The people I have surrounded myself with, the purposeful patriarchs that I highlight on this channel, they need to be celebrated. But we don't need the fake applause and the approval of men. Even if nobody clapped, they would still do it, because they do it because they understand the mission and the purpose behind what it is that they do. And so I just needed to take a moment to let y'all know that all that keyboard thugging that he does on the internet, it's an act. He's a coward. He's weak. And he's a poor excuse for a man that no one in the culture needs to be looking to, because he got to hide behind a woman to protect him from some words, from a face-to-face confrontation with another man who he was out here talking reckless about. And you, sir, listen. I was real nice in this one. I was real nice. I mean, y'all think I went easy. I don't think I went too hard. I didn't go ham like I can. I went nice today. Being a Christian means that, yes, we love our enemies, but it does not mean that we bow down to our enemies. We speak the truth to our enemies. And sometimes the truth can be like, you are wicked. You're wicked. What you represent is wicked. Everybody you roll with is wicked. You need to be called out. It doesn't make you a punk. We stand clothed in the righteousness of Christ, not in our own strength, but being weak, lacking courage and fortitude, that is not who we are. So I don't know, maybe you used to dealing with these old school conservatives who were afraid. It's some new people on the block. It's a new day. And we are making change and making waves, so much so that you went digging through the crates to post a tweet from February And we're so grateful for that. That was 84,000 views as of a couple of days ago. I don't know how many views that trailer has now, but I spent a week in YouTube jail for sharing that trailer. And it was worth it. Because the impact and the change of what that film is going to do and the content that comes as a result of that film, it is meaningful work. And it is work that I stand behind. So I've said my piece, Rolanda. The ball is in your court. You can debate ideas, or you can go on Twitter like the effeminate man that you are and continue the Twitter beef. But unless you're going to come to the table and say, let's debate the ideas in a neutral setting, you might want to refrain from doing this, because this is not a good look for you, sir. And that's all I have to say about that. You come for my friends, I got to cut you. And I cut just a little bit. I just slap you around a little bit. It wasn't too hard. You're going to be all right. You're going to heal up just fine.